it's exciting times. The academy is in a really good place. I suppose historically, if you look at the numbers in recent years, we've been going kind of 12 to 14 approximately. Now we're at a number of 18 players. That's not to say that the quality is diluted in any way. In fact, if anything, it's gone up. And I suppose that's a reflection on our pathway as well, in that we're now producing that high quality player, but in greater numbers. So in one sense, it's more of a headache in terms of, selecting top quality players, but that's a good headache. And I suppose it's a really good reflection on our talent ID system as well. Our coaching and our pathway, our systems, our relationships with the schools and the clubs, etc. And it's culminated now in a very strong academy. We've a number of players going up into senior contract, as you know, from this year, and we've 6 new players coming in, mixture obviously of forwards and backs, but a very exciting group of players. Some coming out of the schools game, some playing with the Irish 20s this year. Really exciting, talented players, very dynamic, some of them very dynamic players. Some of them have already got really good experience, good exposure, familiar with the senior setup in terms of exposure to training with the senior team, etc. at times as well. Have come through the NTS program in certain cases as well. So overall they're in a really good place to come into the program, and I know everyone's very excited, and ultimately this is all adding to the quality of the senior team. Adding to the competition, adding to the quality, and that's ultimately the goal of the academy. Yeah, well, I suppose that's where our pathway is so important. As you know, we've a very strong school system in the province, but not all players come directly through that pathway in the school system. Some will come through the club system as well. I've mentioned the NTS program, but if you take even a step back further from that, we run programs like our Easter program, our pre-summer program, which we're actually in the middle of. And that would then culminate in a very extensive summer program through the months of July and August, and that then leads to an interprovincial series at 17s, 18s and 19s, and that's again really good exposure in terms of these young players, in terms of their development.
No, look, great question, because talent ID is very, very complex, and again, over the last couple of years, and we've taken our time to get this right, is we've got a talent ID system that we're really happy with now. It doesn't mean it's perfect, but we're happy that it's definitely increasing our chances of getting the right players into the system, and the system is the key word. We have a framework now, we know exactly what we're looking for, and that's based on other sports around the world, and it's monsterized to make sure it's the type of players that we're looking for, and that's technical, tactical, physical, and probably the top end is around the psychological and social traits. We think they're the key differentiators, but what we have now is a one-page framework, and this is the type of players we're looking for. Yeah, just looking at it from purely from a quantity and a quality point of view, first of all, 3 years ago our NTS had a dozen players, and our academy would have been 11 or 12 as well, so we would have had 23 players within our elite program, and that's grown exponentially based on quality, the quality of player and the quality of our systems. And our NTS now is in around 25, 26 players with fluctuations, and our academy is at 18. So instead of 23 players in our elite program, we now have a holistic support service and a quality development program for 45 players. And the quality is, I can't put a percentage on it, but it's increasing year on year. And what that's doing is it's driving competition standards throughout our whole pathway. And we're very, very excited by that. And it's taken an awful lot of work on the quality of our systems. And the quality of our systems is based getting really good people into the building. And I mean staff, first of all. There's an excellent academy team that, again, has grown over the last couple of years, and so passionate about what they do. So we know that we've got the right people working with the right people, players that we're bringing in. So it's about those people, and it's about the processes that underpin it, and it's about the quality of our environment. And we put those together, we think we have a far more advanced talent system than we had maybe a number of years ago. Yeah, I think that's a great problem to have, isn't it? We want players to be professional players at Munster, but the reality is sometimes we could have an oversupply of talent in terms of our depth charts and succession planning. Our depth charts are in a really good position. Like we've got real clarity and transparency 5 years into the future in terms of our senior squad, and probably 5 to 7 years down. And at 10 to 12 years now, we've got a really good understanding of where there might be gaps, where we're strong right across our whole system. We have to have confidence in our systems and what our process is around making decisions to have confidence in selecting one player over another. It isn't perfect. We don't know now what the future looks like, but with the information we have at the moment, based on an awful lot of work over the previous couple of years, we feel right now that's the right decision. Yeah, and I think that's probably what we're most excited about, and that's where Graham and all the coaches have really bought in terms of our integrated model and how our academy train with the senior full-time. And we say that a bit, but I think for people to really understand, our academy players, 18 of them train full-time with the senior squad. So there's 60 of them training together all the time, and that's a model that Graham has embraced. That drives competition throughout the squad anyway, because the bottom is pushing the bottom end of the senior squad, and the profile of our senior squad at the moment is quite young. So what was perceived as the middle tier is pushing the top. So there's shifts right across our whole system. For that to work, there has to be a quality NTS. That's critical because they sit outside that bubble, driving the standard of the academy, which drives the competition at the lower end of the senior squad. And thankfully, again, based on the cracking work that the academy team have done, is 5 out of 6 potential academy players have moved into the senior squad to join the signings that we've made from last year, for next year, that are all for very specific reasons based on our planning and our depth charts. Yes, there was 1 or 2 that were outside our control that we can't cater for. There's nothing we can do about that. But what we can focus on is the quality of player coming through our academy, the quality of our recruitment and how that fits into the Munster plan, and it's driving that whole system from top to bottom.